Welcome back to the Mayoral Podcast, everybody. I am your host, Matt Mayer. Before I get into today's content, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share with friends and family if you like the content you've seen here today. And as always, remember that I will have time codes in the description below, so if there's anything you want to see me talk about, please feel free to jump ahead and do so. So first topic of the day is just going to highlight the disparity in the coverage of the protests that are happening not only here in the United States but around the world that are pro-Palestine. The way that they're covered by the media makes them seem righteous in every single one of these protests, not just the ones that are legitimately just calling for a ceasefire because these people think that that will actually do something. There are people out there that are doing the chant from the river to the sea, which is a call for genocide for Jews. They don't seem to realize that, or they just don't care and they want the genocide of Jews. This article here, this is from ABC News. This is back from 2018, June 22nd of 2018. It's about a year after what happened in Charlottesville, and it's talking about the Nazi march that happened in Skokie, which the ADL back then, or it was either the ADL or the ACLU, I can't remember which one, was defending their right to exercise their free speech, even though it's speech that almost everyone disagrees with. So long as they're not breaking the law, they have the right to express those views. Now, in this article, it talks about the protests that happened in Charlottesville. It says here, images of neo-Nazis marching in the streets of Charlottesville last summer served as a wake-up call for many Americans who thought that such shocking displays of hate were in the past. But while the, quote, Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, which left one woman dead, may be the most recent example of such hate, it wasn't the first time neo-Nazis have come out in force in America. And then it goes on to talk about what happened in the 1970s in Skokie, the Nazi march that happened back then. So the big point of this, or the point of this, is to show you the difference in the way that that's covered and then the way that it's being covered now. And I think a good way to highlight that too is this article here. This is from CNN back about a year ago, October 29th of 2022. And it's talking about a post, simply a post that Kyrie Irving had, which was a tweet to, or which was a link to a video. Don't know much about the video other than it's believed to be anti-Semitic. Okay? It says Brooklyn Nets owner condemns star Kyrie Irving for tweeting about documentary deemed anti-Semitic. Okay, again, deemed anti-Semitic, but deemed by who? Again, not saying that it isn't, but I don't know without having seen it. But they jumped down his throat just for simply tweeting this, thinking that it's something that somebody should see, and smeared him all over the place for this tweet. It says, this is from the owner. He said, I'm disappointed that Kyrie appears to support a film on a book full of anti-Semitic disinformation. Nets owner Joe Tsai wrote on Twitter on Friday night, I want to sit down and make sure he understands that this is hurtful to all of us. And as a man of faith, it is wrong to promote hate based on race, ethnicity, or religion. So it just, the crucifixion of Kyrie Irving over this post, the way the media painted the Unite the Right rally back in 2017, how it was the worst thing to ever happen to this country. If you remember, Kyrie Irving actually lost his deal with Nike, his multi-million-dollar contract with Nike, over that tweet. And here's an example of Nike not giving a shit about Israel and what's happening over there right now, and what sparked all this hate and all this whole conversation over Israel and Palestine back on October 7th. It says, meet the Nike marketing specialist who says Israel, not Hamas, is, quote, massacring civilians. So here's a picture of the guy right there. Nike has yet to comment or make any type of move denouncing what this guy is saying, but it says from here, this is his quote directly. It says, much of what Israel claims about the Palestinian resistance is pure projection. The killing of children, massacring of civilians, the rape, torture, hostage-taking, and imprisonment that Israel accuses Palestine of occurs on a much greater scale by the Israelis. So, Jews, I'm sorry, anti-Semitism does not exist on the matrix of oppression when it comes to people of color. if the left deems that you're in any way marginalized, there is a matrix of marginalization. And the more marginalization that they feel you have, the less wrong you can be in any circumstance. So when it comes to the neo-Nazis, they can absolutely decry anti-Semitism there, because presumably they're straight white males, the vast majority of them are. But when it comes to Middle Eastern people and people of color, they deem them higher on the matrix of oppression. So therefore, there is no anti-Semitism that can come from those people because of the rating scale that they have. So the media plays along with this. They don't care about the anti-Semitic hate that's coming out from the left on these issues, because the people that are murdering Jews and want them to be eradicated from the earth, they are, in their mind, more oppressed than Jews. So therefore, they can do and say whatever they want, and they're not racist, they're not anti-Semitic. It's all defensible because of their oppression matrix. And then you got companies that will play along with that. And Ben & Jerry's is one of these companies that is probably one of the most woke companies out there. And this is an article from The Guardian of all places. This is from last year, August of 2022. And it's just talking about how they lost their bid to block sales of ice cream in Israeli West Bank settlements. So basically, they just don't want to sell it to Jews in that area because they feel like they are colonizers or whatever bullshit they're going to throw out there. Ultimately, it was rejected. This lawsuit against their parent company was rejected. Israel is the oppressor in this situation. Now, Israel can be oppressed only by white supremacy or neo-Nazis. Basically, any straight white male that's not Jewish. Palestinians just aren't that. So, therefore, they trump the oppression of Jews. And you can't say anything that is offensive when you're that oppressed, according to their rules. It's obvious once you see these things, and you just throw it into Google and the complete bias of Google, and look at the results of this search. I just put Trump, vermin, Hitler, and it's everything in there because Trump made a comment about how he wants to rid this country of vermin, talking about these extreme left wing people. And obviously the media is going to jump down its throat. There's NPR, Washington Post, NPR again, Reuters, everything in there comparing him to Nazis, fascists, anything like that. None of that from Hamas. Hamas, who literally says they want to murder every Jew that they can see. Not Nazis at all, because again, it's all in this oppression matrix, this hierarchy of oppression. And frankly, Jews, you just don't cut the mustard when it comes to this for the left-wing media and for left-wing pundits out there. And then again, I just threw this into Google and just says, is Hamas a Nazi organization? That's all I simply put in there. And everything that pops up here, it's talking about neo-Nazis. It says neo-Nazi acceleration support of Hamas. Pro-Hamas extremists and neo-Nazis flood social media. Why Israel should not compare Hamas to Nazis. Neo-Nazis are exploiting the Israel-Hamas conflict to stoke ... Like every single, this is NBC News, San Francisco Chronicle, The Atlantic. Hamas genocidal intentions were never a secret. That's the only one. So you look at these top articles, these top searches here. They're all talking about neo-Nazis and they're all talking about Nazis, but they're not saying that Hamas is a Nazi group. Haaretz, which is an Israeli news outlet, says why Israel should not compare Hamas to Nazis. So, like, the mainstream articles they're softening. I've talked about this before. They're softening the stance on Hamas. They're not outright calling them Nazis. They're now saying because they attacked Israel, you see, neo-Nazis are now feeling emboldened. And that's really the problem with the attack on Israel. Wasn't so much the murdering and slaughtering of and raping and kidnapping of over 1,200 Israeli citizens. That's not the main problem. The main problem is now this has emboldened the neo-Nazis. And the left is just showing their hand subtly in things like this Google this search result. You've seen it. I showed it to you. There is no reason for this type of result. They won't say the words. They won't say that Hamas are Nazis or worse than Nazis or even compare them to Nazis. We can't even do that. At most, this is ambiguous, whereas the other side, for Trump vermin, he's automatically a Nazi for just calling people on the left vermin. That's right to Adolf Hitler, right to fascism, right to Nazism, no questions asked. There's a little bit more nuance, though, guys, when it comes to Hamas and Hezbollah saying they want to wipe Jews off the map. There's more nuance than that. But Trump's is outright racist, no doubt. And then I talked about this last episode and how the left, its nature is cannibalistic with things like cancel culture, these protests that we're seeing all over the country. You see this is from Colin Rugg on Twitter. He's a good follow, so at Colin Rugg, go follow him on Twitter. Breaking, pro-Palestine protesters are fighting with police outside the DNC headquarters in Washington, D.C. They're doing things, chanting again. I showed the video last week of them chanting Genocide Joe outside of the White House, and they're doing the same thing. This is the DNC. They're coming after their own. These, again, by its nature, the left-wing ideology is cannibalistic in nature. So you see this, then you see Columbia University, they're the apartheid divestment, who we are. And this talks about exactly what I was just saying about the oppression matrix. And it says, quote, "The Palestine cause is not a cause for Palestinians only, but a cause for every revolutionary, wherever they are, as a cause of the exploited and oppressed masses in our era." And again, it's all on this matrix of oppression. And if you are deemed the most oppressed group, or you are more oppressed than the other group that is oppressed, you can do no wrong onto that group. So in this case, Palestine, the Palestinians are deemed much more oppressed than the Israelis. Therefore, there could be no harm put upon the Israelis that isn't justified because of the fact that the Palestinians are more oppressed than the Israelis. And this article just goes on. Zionist project is reaching its apex as Israel continues to violate international law by indiscriminately bombing civilians and cutting off their access to food, water, medicine, and fuel. Forget the fact that Hamas has been cutting off the supply to their own citizens, that there are war crimes that have been being committed by Hamas since they took control of the Gaza Strip back in 2005, 2006, building tunnels and building military sites under hospitals, under schools. Those are war crimes. Now, because the UN, which is absolutely fucking useless, because the UN chose to do nothing, they knew about this for years. They chose to do nothing for years. Now it's on Israel to protect the citizens of Gaza. It's not on Hamas for building tunnels underneath these civilian structures. It's on Israel to do this. Where was the UN for the last 15 years? What were they doing? Oh, I don't know. They have their entire division dealing with Palestinian matters are all made up of Hamas members. So, of course they did nothing about it. Hamas has been committing war crimes before there was even an invasion of Israel on October 7th. They've been doing it for over a decade and a half. And idiots like the intellectuals that are coming out of Columbia are making these claims, and you're just going to see this continue from these left-wing institutions like Columbia. And now when I saw this, I was reminded of, I'm currently reading this book. I've started it a couple of years ago, got busy, and, not an excuse, but ended up not finishing the book. And it's called In the First Circle. I got it right here, by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Great book. If you can Put aside the time to read it. I suggest you do. I'm about a quarter of the way through the book. It's pretty great so far. I actually had to backtrack to point this out. So when I see this, the left eating its own, and when I talk about things like cancel culture, this is kind of what I mean when I'm saying eventually they're going to come from their own, because there's going to be nobody left on the other side. There's going to be some people that are just going to give them the middle finger and tell them to pound sand, and there's going to be other people that they've taken so much from that they can't take anything more realistically from them, and then they just start moving to the left on that spectrum. And the further right you are, even if you're left wing, now you're going to be caught up in the crosshairs of the extreme left wing. So it says, listen, prisoner, just because I'm being easy on you, you mustn't forget yourself. If you were rough, I wouldn't talk to you at all, citizen minister. Shout at your colonels and your generals. They have a lot to lose. We can make you toe the line if we have to. That's where you're wrong, citizen minister. I have nothing. Understand nothing at all. You can't get at my wife and my child. A bomb got them first. My parents are dead. All I own in this world is a handkerchief. These overalls and the buttonless shirt underneath belong to the state. You took my freedom from me long ago, and you can't give it back because you have no freedom yourself. I'm 42 years old. You've slapped a 25-year sentence on me. I've been in hard labor camps, walked about with number patches on my clothes. I'm wearing handcuffs, and with dogs around me, I've been in a penal work brigade. So what else do you have to threaten me with? What else can you take away from me? My engineering's job, perhaps? That would be your loss, not mine. He continues, in fact, you need to get it into your head and pass it along to whoever needs to know up above that your power depends on not taking absolutely everything away from people. The man from whom you've taken everything is no longer in your power. He is free again. That is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to cancel culture, when it comes to this left-wing ideology. They've taken so much from so many people that in their quest for power and authority, they have nothing left to lose. There's nothing that they can take away from these people. And since there's nothing left that they can do, there's no power that they have over them, those people are free again. And those people that are left at this point are on the left side of the aisle. They're going after Joe Biden. They're going after BlackRock. They're going after institutions that are all for the left-wing ideology. And they don't realize that there's going to be no meat left on the bone soon. Like they said in this book, I can make you toe the line. They've made people like me more free than we had been in the past. And there's some people out there, and I'm not comparing myself to these people, that they've taken everything from. They've taken their job, they've taken their reputation, they've taken their possessions, their family, they've taken everything. And now they have nothing left to take. And there's a lot of people out there that are just giving them the middle finger. So they're going to continue this crusade of power and control, but they're only going to possess that power over the people on the left. When you see things like what's happening at Columbia University, what's happening with these protests, left-wing protesters are protesting the DNC, calling Joe Biden Genocide Joe. They're coming after Joe Biden. He's not extreme enough for them. And it's just going to continue to eat away at itself. And there's nothing they can do. Like I said last episode, this is Frankenstein's monster. You've created it. Now it's coming back after you. And it's just going to destroy itself. It's just a matter of time. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom, the worst governor in the United States, is attacking a town in Tennessee called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And this is his post on Twitter. This is from November 16th of this year. It says, a city in Tennessee has banned being gay in public. This is just the beginning. We have to call this out. So brave to just make a post on Twitter. Good job, Gavin. But this is a link to that article directly. Okay? And this is from, it says, newrepublic.com. It says, a city in Tennessee banned public homosexuality, and we all missed it. And this is talking about what happened. So if you look at this, it says, a city in Tennessee is using a recently passed ordinance essentially prohibiting homosexuality in public to try to ban library books that might violate new rules. Murfreesboro passed an ordinance in June banning, quote, indecent behavior, including, quote, indecent exposure, public indecency, lewd behavior, nudity, or sexual content. So notice that what they've pulled out of this legislation, presumably, when they put quotes around it, has nothing to do with homosexuality. But it says Aaron Reed first reported this ordinance specifically mentions in section 21.72 of the city code, the code states that sexual conduct includes homosexuality. But I don't understand. It's, of course, if it's sexual conduct, it's going to include heterosexuality and homosexuality. I don't understand what this journalist, how is this person an investigative journalist? When you talk about sexual conduct, that covers all sexual conduct. So if you're doing that out in public, yeah, it's illegal to do that. And it should be illegal to do it in public. So like, oh yeah, does it include homosexuality? Yes, it includes. It's a blanket term, sexual conduct, that covers all sexual conduct. But they point out, they like to poke the bear and say, oh, well, it includes homosexuality. Well, yes, of course. Not homosexual, not people that are gay, just homosexual acts and heterosexual acts in public. Like any type of sex, any type of sexual conduct should not be conducted in public. How is that any different from anything else? Or how we should be running our societies. And it says, the board has implemented a new library card system that categorizes books into certain age groups. Oh man, what monsters for saying that there's content, whether it be books or videos, anything like that. I've brought this up in the past. Does anyone out there remember video stores? They had an 18 and older section. And in order to rent a movie from there, you had to present an ID. I don't understand how this is any different. There's age groups. Yeah, if you're not 16 or older, you can't read this book. If you're not 18 or older, you can't read this book without parental consent. If you're 18 or older, yeah, you can check out whatever you want. And it continues on. When it takes effect next year, children and teenagers will only be allowed to check out books that correspond to their age group. They will need permission from a parent or guardian to check out an adult book. You can't get into a rated R movie. It's supposed to be 17 or older. So, like, if we're just going to let 15-year-olds in, that's why there's ratings on things. But they'll just continue to lie. They'll make it seem like this is all about banning gay when this has nothing to do with it. It's just all about lewd behavior. And if it's homosexual or heterosexual, it's banned from public life. And it should be. But again, their power lies in the lies. Their power lies in control. They have nothing if they're not causing these scenes, if they're not misrepresenting stories like this one here. Continue to be vigilant. Don't fall for it. And where you see them, where you see stories like this, call it out. Share it with a friend, a family member. Make sure that they are aware of it too. The more people that are awake to these issues, the less of these issues we will see. That's it for this episode of the Mayoral Podcast. Please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share with friends and family if you like the content you've seen here today. And I will see you all in the next video.